a massive surprise attack by Palestinian militants from Gaza.
The days when the Jewish people remain passive in the face of genocidal enemies, those days are over.
Years in establishing what's the most formidable, powerful militaries in the world.
And Group Ynet has reported Tel Aviv is the world's #2 city for tech startups, behind only Silicon Valley in the United States.
Narendra Modi had the look of a man making up for lost time. It has, after all, taken nearly 70 years for an Indian Prime Minister to visit Israel.
In that first meeting, you said that when it comes to India-Israel's relations, the sky is the limit. Because today, even our space programs are working together to achieve even greater heights.
Hello everyone. In the last video, we discussed the impact of Israel and its relations with Arab nations on the global economy. In this video, we'll shift our focus to how Israel, despite its challenges, has risen to become one of the most powerful countries in the world. It's a remarkable story, especially given Israel's relatively small population and land area. What's truly astonishing is Israel's resilience in the face of adversity. This nation has endured 6 wars, with another one currently ongoing. Since its declaration of independence, Israel has confronted a persistent terrorism threat, economic boycotts, and diplomatic isolation from many of its neighboring countries. Adding to the complexity, Israel is not recognized as a sovereign nation by 21 countries worldwide, including Pakistan, Singapore, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and others. However, thanks to diplomatic efforts like the Abraham Accords, this number has been reduced to 18, indicating a positive shift in the diplomatic landscape. In this video, we will delve into the incredible journey that has propelled Israel to its current status as one of the most powerful countries on the global stage. In fact, for the first 5 decades, they were averaging at 1 major war per decade now. For a country that is so fiercely engaged in war, Israel is not even a big country. They are smaller than a state of Kerala, have population that is less than half of Hyderabad, and they don't have any natural resource to bank on, including water. But even then, today, they are called as the startup nation with a GDP of $480 billion. They are the 10th largest weapons exporter in the world, and most importantly, it is literally the 8th most powerful country in the world, even ahead of oil-rich nations of Arabs. Before the moving on, I have heard the audio from the QQ FM. This is not ad promotion. After listening these audios, I want to make this video. If you want to listen, please use it. In spite of not having significant natural resources, ample land, or a large population, and considering the hostile environment surrounding its borders, and given the initial challenges in managing the country after independence, how did Israel become a developed and prosperous nation? How did Israel attain such significant military and geopolitical power? How did Israel evolve into a thriving startup hub, despite being at the epicenter of regional conflicts? And how do they effectively manage education for their citizens? Most importantly, as Indians, what lessons can we learn from Israel's remarkable rise to success in order to apply them to our own context? Let's start. Have you know the story of David Carr? The tale commences on the 14th of May 1948, when Israel had just proclaimed its independence. The very next day, Israel faced an unprecedented challenge as it was simultaneously attacked by 5 different countries: Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, and Lebanon. Israel found itself not only outnumbered but also outgunned, equipped with only a few planes and weapons provided by Stalin. Naturally, the world anticipated the Arab states to prevail in this conflict. However, to everyone's astonishment, these Arab forces unexpectedly withdrew from their positions on all fronts, including the Golan Heights, Jerusalem, and even the Gaza Strip. The Israelis not only withstood the assaults but also managed to capture the western part of Jerusalem, the eastern part of Gaza, and the northern part of Acre. The question that arises is, how did Israel achieve such a remarkable victory despite being outnumbered and outgunned against the odds of conventional military wisdom? During the conflict in 1948, the Arab armies indeed possessed superior weaponry and numerical advantage over Israel. However, Israel employed a psychological strategy that played a crucial role in their victory. When they ran out of bombs and artillery, a clever idea emerged among Israeli soldiers. They decided to use soda bottles, known as seltzer bottles. These glass bottles, when dropped from high altitudes, produced a sound similar to a bomb being dropped and created a loud noise when they burst. These bottles were inexpensive, easy to acquire, and readily available. Israel gathered as many seltzer bottles as possible, loaded them onto crop duster planes, and dropped them on nearby Arab areas. The noise created by these bottle drops was so convincing that the Arab forces believed they were under attack and fled from those areas. Facing the prospect of bombs falling from the sky, Arab soldiers and civilians evacuated the villages. In addition to this unconventional tactic, the Israelis used a peculiar weapon known as the Davidka. Despite its lack of accuracy and limited damage potential, the Davidka was incredibly effective in creating fear. The thunderous noise it produced led many Arabs to believe that the Israelis possessed a secret, devastating weapon, with some even thinking it might be an atomic bomb. Due to poor coordination among the Arab forces, they couldn't discern the nature of these Israeli tactics. As a result, many Arab citizens and soldiers started evacuating territories. These, along with other clever techniques, contributed to Israel's control not only over the Jewish state but also over 60% of the area proposed for the Arab state. Similarly, in 1967, when Israel faced attacks from Egypt, Iran, Syria, and Jordan, their possession of accurate intelligence allowed them to preemptively strike the Egyptian Air Force. While Egyptian pilots were having breakfast, Israeli airstrikes paralyzed their airports, rendering their army ineffective. This strategy enabled Israel to gain control of most of the Sinai Peninsula. Alongside these military tactics, Israel benefited from the legendary Mossad intelligence agency's capabilities. One of the most legendary Mossad stories revolves around a spy named Eli Cohen. Israel dispatched him to Syria, posing as a wealthy businessman willing to fund the Syrian Ba'ath Party. Cohen went to great lengths, hosting lavish parties, financing the party's rise, and cultivating close relationships with Syrian leadership. His influence grew to the extent that the Syrians permitted him to visit their outposts and even offered him the position of Deputy Defense Minister of Syria. What makes this story incredible is that Cohen not only gathered intelligence but also offered assistance to the Syrians, planting eucalyptus trees at their outpost to provide shade from the scorching sun. The intelligence gathered through these trees allowed Israelis to accurately pinpoint the locations of Syrian outposts. In the Six-Day War of 1967, Israel used these trees as reference points, making it easier to target Syrian positions. Similarly, it said that another Mossad spy, Ashraf Marwan, was the son-in-law of Egypt's President Gamal Nasser. Israel's extensive and effective spy network allowed them to collect so much intelligence that, even before the enemy initiated their attacks, Israel was already in control of the situation. Through a combination of military tactics and intelligence, Israel managed to keep Arab forces out of their territory without causing significant damage to their own lands. Now, you may wonder, all this defense is costly and wars are expensive. So how did Israel manage to grow its economy amid these conflicts? First, Israel received substantial financial assistance, including interest-free loans and aid from Jewish communities worldwide, totaling around £65 million. Second, they received $850 million from West Germany as reparations for the Holocaust from 1953 to 1966. Third, from 1949 to 1973, they received an average of $122 million per year as economic aid from the United States. However, what truly set Israel apart was not just the money, but the strategies they implemented with these resources to establish a powerful geopolitical position in the world. The root cause of Israel's successful strategies can be traced back to its education system, which significantly differs from that of India. This distinction underscores the shortcomings of our education system. In the past 15 years, India has produced more engineers than the entire population of Israel. However, the quality of Indian engineers is often lacking to the point that Indian engineers are recruited as commodities by mass recruiters. The issue doesn't stem from the companies themselves, but from the fact that our engineers, including myself, often lack the competent engineering skills needed to bring value to the job market. The question that arises is, why is this the case? It turns out that our engineering students often work on projects primarily for the sake of earning marks and meeting submission deadlines. In contrast, in Israel, where they cannot afford to have unskilled talent, students are strictly evaluated based on the real-world industry-specific problems that their projects address. For instance, while many Indian students create project replicas with fancy names like artificial intelligence and data science, these projects often fail to address actual industry issues. I done my engineering, and in my last semester we have project. What our head of the department mainly focus on the submission books. They have checked the inch by inch about word, format, distance between first paragraph and second paragraph, and their degrees. I have changed 5 times for my submission to get their sign, and they forgot what is my project can solve the problem in the word. In contrast, Israeli students tackle real-world problems such as water scarcity, irrigation, traffic management, defense challenges, and medical issues. While our engineering students are often taught outdated or irrelevant technologies, the Israeli curriculum is updated periodically to align with the specific needs of not only the domestic market, but also the international market. This difference in approach to education has played a crucial role in shaping Israel's innovation and problem-solving capabilities. In Israel, every penny invested in education is viewed as an investment that should yield dividends for both the economy and the intellectual powerhouse of the country. This approach has yielded remarkable results. In the 1960s, during a period of water scarcity in the country, an engineer named Simcha Blas invented the iconic drip irrigation system. This innovation allowed farms to reduce water consumption by 60% and increase crop yields by 90%. Today, his company Netafim is a global powerhouse, holding over 30% of the global drip irrigation market and selling its products in 110 countries, including India. This stands as a testament to the soft power Israel wields in innovation. Similarly, an Israeli scientist, frustrated by chronic stomach pain, created a digestible disposable camera. This device is now used worldwide to diagnose infections, intestinal disorders, and cancers in the digestive system. It represents a medical marvel, granting access to areas of the digestive system that were previously out of reach. Furthermore, due to the constant threat of rocket attacks in Israel, the country, in collaboration with the United States, developed the Iron Dome technology. This system is the most sophisticated air defense system globally. It has the remarkable ability to intercept and shoot down 1,000 moving rockets mid-air with a 90% interception rate, and these capabilities continue to improve. And also, India is developing Ondesi Iron Dome. With the help of Russia, it will be completed within 2026. Israel has indeed executed game-changing policies that have had a profound impact. Today, Israel boasts 300 R&D centers for tech giants like Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Intel. These companies are drawn to Israel for one primary reason: to harness the exceptional talent of Israelis. In the 1990s, the Israeli government recognized that due to the ongoing conflicts and hostile border conditions, very few foreign companies were willing to invest in the country. While Israelis excelled in developing cutting-edge technologies, they faced challenges in marketing and scaling their companies because the Israeli market itself was relatively small. For instance, a warehouse management system developed for 100,000 warehouses in Israel would not find a market due to the country's limited population. To address this issue, the Israeli government introduced a transformative policy that forever altered the Israeli economy. This initiative was known as the Yozma Fund, a government venture capital fund. Under this policy, international investors were invited with the condition that the government would invest 40% of the funding, while the foreign companies would invest the remaining 60% in Israeli startups. For example, if a company invested $6 million in a new Israeli technology startup, the government would provide the remaining $4 million. Moreover, the government granted investors the option to repurchase the stake at a low cost after 5 years. Essentially, the Israeli government shouldered the investment risk and shared the profits with either the original or new investor. This arrangement was exceptionally attractive, leading investors from around the world to pour funds into early-stage Israeli startups. In total, the Yozma Fund raised $263 million for 164 startups, with $100 million coming from government capital. Today, these startups are collectively worth more than $3 billion. Hence, venture capital firms recognize the value in these startups. They experience exponential growth, akin to what we witnessed in India's funding scene in 2021. And the last chapter, Israel's geopolitical power. Israel experienced a significant boom in startup funding as far back as the 1990s. Fast forward to 2022, and Israel has become a tech powerhouse, rivaling, if not surpassing, Silicon Valley. Israeli entrepreneurs excel at developing cutting-edge technology, and many of their startups are eventually acquired by American companies, generating substantial wealth for the country. Some notable examples of successful acquisitions include Mobileye, a leader in self-driving car systems, was acquired by Intel for an impressive $15.3 billion. M-Systems, a company specializing in USB drives, was acquired by SanDisk for $1.6 billion. Waze, renowned for real-time traffic updates on maps, was purchased by Google for a substantial $1.3 billion. In addition to these high-profile acquisitions, numerous million- and billion-dollar deals have occurred in various sectors, such as food, gaming, medical, and cybersecurity. Israel's thriving startup ecosystem has earned it the moniker Startup Nation, boasting over 6,000 startups and a per capita venture capital investment that dwarfs that of the United States by 28 times. Remarkably, some of these startups have also played a crucial role in bolstering Israel's geopolitical power. The connection between Israeli startups and the country's geopolitical influence becomes apparent when you consider that these startups have been instrumental in developing Israel's defense industry. Israel recognized that continually allocating 30% of its GDP to defense spending and relying on foreign weapons purchases would hamper economic growth. As a result, they built a domestic defense industry capable of producing not only weapons for their own use, but also for export to global markets. Thanks to their industry-specific education and substantial investments in research and development, Israel now manufactures some of the world's most advanced weaponry. As a consequence, their military expenditure has been transformed into a lucrative investment, yielding $11 billion through arms exports, further enhancing Israel's geopolitical power. Israel also provides cybersecurity and intelligence to various countries across the world. This, combined with the military intelligence and mandatory military service policy, the Israeli army stands as one of the most powerful armies in the world. Along with that, Israel also helped a lot of other nations when they were falling weak, for example. Before 9/11, Mossad informed thus about a major attack in 2001. So because of this unparalleled strain that they have developed, the United States provides billions of dollars worth of Israel so that they could keep a check on the Arab states and the Suez Canal. Importance of human capital. If utilized effectively, it can be a great asset, but if not harnessed properly, it can become a liability. While India's education system often produces a large number of educated individuals, Israel invested in its talent, transforming itself into an intellectual powerhouse. Just as we cherish India's historical glories, it is imperative that we work diligently in the present to create a promising future. We can have the effective workforce that even work more than 70 hours a week. But in India, it is under... That's all for this episode of Israel have changed without having anything and become super global leader with their talent. I just hope you learned something valuable from this geopolitical case study. Please have a look at all the study materials in the description. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more together. Let's shape a brighter future. Stay informed, engaged, and be a catalyst. For change, your support keeps us going. See you in the next video.